Hello everyone, welcome. This is the Voice of Eve. Our topic today is women and the law. Stay tuned with us, we'll soon be back. The law and the judiciary constitute the bastion of constitutional democracy. Together, they stand for the hope of the common man and the nation at large, for justice and for the rule of law. However, all does not seem to be going well, very well in that segment. Over 80% of all detainees in Nigerian prisons are supposed to be in the category of awaiting trial, and women are having babies in prison. We hear of manipulation, wobbling of justice, the judicial process, and also even of outright corruption. We are privileged to have with us a very outstanding female legal practitioner. As our special guest, we will hear from her on some of the problems in this sector. Please stay tuned with us. I am your hostess, Dr. Violet Arene. Chief Bisi Olateru Olabegi, it's a real pleasure and privilege for me to have this opportunity to interview you in the Voice of Eve.
Thank you very much for the honor.
You are quite a veteran in this profession, 37 years of legal practice. Former president of FIDA, that's the Association for Female Lawyers in Nigeria or in Africa?
In Nigeria.
In Nigeria. Board member of Women Law and Development in Africa, and Southwest Coordinator for Women Political Empowerment Project.
Yes. Thank you very much.
Constitutional democracy and good governance depend on excellent law practice and judiciary. What is your scorecard for how we are doing today, and what are you doing about it?
Well, as a nation, I think that in terms of how the legal profession has impacted on our democracy, I would say we've scored relatively maybe on the average, like 50%. And I believe that over the years, the lawyers especially have played a critical and tremendous role in trying to see that our democracy is on course, that the rule of law, which is one of the cardinal pivots of democracy, or at least good democratic rule, is in place. And I think that our legal profession have been up and doing.
There's alleged corruption in the judiciary. It is one of the saddest, news of our era. What do you think about it?
I agree with you that it's a very, very sad situation, that corruption is at its peak in this country. And it's not only that the women have a role to play. I believe that because the women have been laid back for so long, the women are always marginalized. I believe that that would be one of the reasons why women need to take charge of the governance of this country. And it has to cut across all sectors, like the judiciary, the executive, and the legislative houses. Because I believe that that is one tool or one weapon that women can use and say, look, we are bringing in something new. Because we've seen it all now. We've seen how we have successive bad governance, successive corrupt officials, both in the judiciary, everywhere. So the only thing that we can do, and it's because the powers and decision making and policy making has been majorly in the hands of men for so long. And that is what women can bring in, to have positive change in our country. And that's because the women are less corrupt. I'm not saying that all women are, not corrupt. I mean that women are, innocent and all that. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying that the women, on the average, are less corrupt than we have the men. So if the women are coming in, bringing that in, to bring transparency in, to bring integrity into every part, whether it be in the legal profession or anywhere else, then it's going to, be a really good thing for this country.
There's also another sad trend of women being amongst the detainees, and some women detainees having children in prison.
It's really very pathetic, and there are some organizations that actually focus on that issue of women in prisons. And what we found over the years, because I used to personally visit the prisons in the past, and you will see a woman who is who is pregnant in the prison, and some of them did not get pregnant before they got to the prison. So you start to wonder, how did they get the pregnancy, And you see those who give birth in the prison. And we've actually made a lot of complaints to you that, even if we don't care about the women who may have been convicted for some form of, offense or the other, but what about the children who are innocent? I mean, and their welfare should be paramount in everybody's interest. So they should take such women, especially when they are nursing, away from that, vicinity of the prisons, And we do complain about that. It is a very pathetic situation. The condition of prisons, maybe in recent times, have improved. In the past, you will see like 100 women in one room, and that overcrowding also causes a lot of outbreak of diseases, skin rashes and all that. But they're trying to improve some of these. And then you want to see the kind of food that they're given there. What I have also found out in the prisons is that the prisoners are themselves the people that do the cooking. So you will see some of them who have been there, like those of them who are on death row or on life imprisonment, taking charge of the food, and then, apportioning the food, in a discriminate manner. If a woman has offended them, they will not give them food and all that. And when you deny somebody food, it's not really, you're actually denying them of their rights to proper living. In the same vein, you have men too, who have children while they're in prison. Oh, yes. Their wives give birth, and you start to wonder how. And we've had cases of, men actually, when they're supposed to be, behind prison walls, who are not actually there. Maybe they just come over the weekend or something, but they make them live in their houses. So a lot of corrupt practices go on in the prisons. And that why we have a lot of congestion is that we have some cases where when the police come in they want to take the inmates there who are not yet prisoners, who are just awaiting trial, to take them to the court. You find out that they will not answer to their names. It's some kind of corrupt practice that is in there, and there's no way for you to know who is who when there's no technical process or whatever that you can determine that this is Mr. A or this is Mrs. B. So what happens is that when they keep quiet, they don't mention their names. After a long time, there's a series of adjournments. The judge will just decide, and they have not seen the accused person. They will just decide to throw away the case. Even the prisoner may not know, or the awaiting trial person may not know that the case had been thrown out, and they will stay in that place. That's why you have a lot of congestion, in our prisons.
There's also another sad trend of a very high-profile corruption case that was, in my own view, bungled in Nigeria, but better treated abroad for justice to be delivered. What's your thought on this? Mm-hmm. Does that concern you as a top female lawyer in this nation? Of course,
it does concern me.
Yes.
Because I know that some of these cases border on on corruption and all that, or corrupt officials. And it bothers me because the bane, of development in this country is corruption. Because the country is well endowed with so many natural resources and human resources. But because of the corruption, we are not able to maximize our productivity. And since we cannot do that, the economy continue to go down. And the women are the worst sufferers, because the women are the poorest of the poor. Mm. They are poorer than, than if you put them in categories of men and women. So that's why it concerns me. And the judicial system, or the administration of justice system too, needs to be looked into. Apart from the corruption, I personally believe that there is a lot of laxity in terms of technical know-how. Those who are investigating do not have the expertise to know how to investigate. In some of these high-profile cases, you will see, when they're prosecuted abroad, sometimes they will send in detectives to come to Nigeria, to investigate matters. even within our own little precincts here, our police, are not really, really, really well trained. Or if they're well trained, maybe because of corruption, they do not do their investigations properly. So you have so many unsolved crimes. This person was killed, that person was kidnapped, and up to today, we don't know who killed Bolaigi. Up to today, we don't know who killed Delegiwa. Those are cases, and those are just because they are high-profile cases. There are so many millions of cases that just go under. And I believe it's because our police lack the expertise, one. Secondly, at least that general corruption is there. And I think among the police is really very high, and other law enforcement agents. I believe that the entire administration of justice system needs to be overhauled.
Yes.
And we start from the judicial system too, because that's the last hope of the citizens. Yes. The average citizen's last hope is the court. And if the court, if you are not confident that you're going to get justice there, you might as well, just take laws into your hands. So we need to start the overhauling from the courts. It's not only to see that justice is, to do justice, but to see that it is done. Justice must be transparently done. Everybody must be able to see that, oh yes, justice was done in this case. Yes. And that is, you have to remove corruption at any level. Even from the clerks, from, the people who are in the legal, who are supporting the justice, the administrative justice system. And then, administrative justice, it doesn't stop with only the legal profession. It also goes to law enforcement. Because when people commit crimes, like we have a lot of crimes now coming up, especially rape cases, all kinds of funny rape cases, kidnap and rape, gang rape and all that. And you have those cases that are not solved. They don't find the culprits and they don't bring them to justice. Because if the culprits are not arrested, there is no way the judges can, adjudicate on these cases. So we need to also overhaul the law enforcement agents. First of all, to train them on how to investigate. Secondly, to debrief them and to try and reorientate them on corruption, because corruption seems to be the accepted one. You will see, you can go to a police or a law enforcement area and you have a long room there where there are so many officers and all of them is syndicated corruption. They will agree to be corrupt. So it's only in this country that I see that kind of thing, that they're not even afraid that their colleagues will tell on them, because everybody will be agreed on that corrupt practice.
Thank you so much. We've learned so much from you. We now know that sound constitutional democracy and good governance in our nation will depend a lot on transparency in administration of law and justice in this nation. And thank you for what you are doing.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Yes. Welcome back. If you're just joining us for the first time, this is the Voice of Eve. We are dealing with the topic of women and the law. A lot of women are in the legal profession today, even in the judiciary. So we need to hear from women about the state of things in this sector. With me in the studio are two special ladies in this segment. They are Barrister Mrs. Evelyn Obioha, a legal practitioner, a mother, a patriot, and a courageous widow. It's a pleasure having you here.
Thank you so much, Doctor.
And Barrister Mrs. Oreka Adeborua, another patriot, a mother, a wife, and a beautiful woman. We are delighted to have you today.
I'm glad to be here. Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you so much. Well, a lot of women are in the legal profession and even in the judiciary today. And we need to hear from you. Barrister Evelyn Obioha, having 80% minimum of all detainees in Nigerian prisons today, having the category of awaiting trial, and having women in these prisons staying there long enough to have babies, what does it say in our national experience today?
Well, having over 80% awaiting trial in our judicial system is outrageous. It's inhuman and speaks or gives a negative statement of the system we're in. But on the other hand, there are so many things that contribute to people there being on awaiting trial. And the government is doing something about it to wipe away this negative statement about the government judicial system by bringing up things like Legal Aid Council. For instance, Legal Aid Council is empowered not only to offer legal services to indigent, those who cannot afford legal services, but has been given power by the enabling authority to decongest the prisons. And secondly, because of the situation is becoming very embarrassing. A case in point, it's our Honorable Justice CJ of Lagos State has gone ahead to see that the prisons, to set a good example for other judiciary in the nation, in other states, by going twice within less than 3 months of her coming to office as the Chief Judge of Lagos State to decongest the prison by setting a lot of prisoners who have stayed awaiting trial without being tried, because she sees a great injustice in that. Because usually the law says you are deemed to be innocent until the contrary is proved. So why will people be kept there in a very deplorable condition? And she has gone ahead decongesting the prisons. And that's a good and positive move.
As Barrister Adeboruwa,
I have been to the prisons, and it's unfortunate to see babies in prison. So I'm very, very glad to see that the Chief Justice of Lagos State has taken steps to make sure that those people who are there, because the law provides that a person's term, the prison term that you are to serve for a particular offense, you should not be in detention beyond that amount of time. So it is very good, because some of those people, they've been there more than the term they would have served had they been convicted. So it is a very laudable thing to have the Lagos CJ do that.
I don't know how you get about it to get Nigerians to be submissive to the law, because we hear of people behaving as if they are above the law. Yeah. Some miscreants are trying to overpower the law.
Yeah, it is a fallout of our system. The system where, for instance, somebody is in uniform, is holding a gun, and he feels that because of that he's above the law. It is a fallout of our system when miscreants, because they have somebody behind them, they think, oh, I know this big man. In fact, he sent me. So because of that, they think they are above the law. And so if they get arrested for a particular offense, they call that man, and the man would come, call the highest authority. Before you know it, a call comes through and he's released. That is what we see.
That is it. So I know that as conscientious female legal practitioners, it will be a pain in your heart to see some of the things that are happening.
That's true.
Like hearing about corruption in the judiciary. Does it break your heart?
Yes, it does. But say with women, I have not said women are taking over, but if you look at all the judicial system, the states now, you now have a lot of female chief judges. More women are coming into the system. And because women are not prone to corruption, women have a conscience. And when they have passion for something, they do it very well. And we are seeing it in our female judges. I'm not undermining the men, but the men and the women are putting their hands on board to see that I will have a way forward and that the rule of law is maintained. Whether you have a godfather, we have seen a situation where even a very powerful man has been sentenced to prison in this country. Well, we're coming out of it. We cannot continue because the corruption thing is giving us a very bad image. And the judiciary is looking into it. And both the men and women are working in cooperation. And because the women are there, they have societal values, they have the fear of God, and they will not allow criminality to take over our society. They won't want a breakdown in law and order.
Thank you.
So they are doing very well in that regard.
It's wonderful.
Yes.
This is very heartwarming, even for me as a person, hearing you. There is hope then that we can expect the rule of law in this nation, and that you will rise to your calling to be the conscience of the nation.
Yes. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you so much in that segment.
And the one of women,
yes,
having babies in the prison hasn't got anything to do with the judiciary. Because there's no provision in our law that allows conjugal visits. Conjugal visit is men visiting the women, allowed to stay with them. But women having babies in the prison, I think those running the prisons should be held responsible. Because we have female prisons different from male prisons. So if the women are getting pregnant and having babies, the question should be directed to those who are running the prisons. And where they are found liable or guilty of it, they should be punished.
Thank you very much. We want to clarify this thing.
Yes. So it's not a judicial...
It's not a judicial problem.
No. It's those running the prison. They should answer for it.
Is that what you think too?
Yes. The wardens there are women. So how can a woman be in prison and get pregnant? That means that there's something wrong somewhere.
There is infiltration.
Yes.
And that's why I said they should be called to order.
So that is why it should be looked into,
yes,
as she has said.
That's wonderful. But we must really hear from you as your own special personal contributions as legal practitioners. We can start with you, Barrister Deboruwa.
Thank you, Doctor. Well, as a female legal practitioner, one thing that has bothered me is that many lawyers do not conduct their cases with conscience. So one thing I do is to conduct my case with good conscience, because there's a lot of cutting corners here and there, trying to be smart, lawyers doing things that are not, they don't speak well of character. So the first thing is that I ensure in the conduct of my cases, I put in good character. I don't try to deceive the court or deceive people, the clients, because many lawyers want to impress the clients. They want to earn money, so they make them believe what is not. Lying to them, oh, I can get this for you, when they know there is no way. So I try to put in that first of all, and I think that's very important for a good practice. And then, as I said earlier, going to the prisons, offering free legal service. In case there's somebody there, and I have told them, in case you have a matter in court, they have taken you to court, you don't have somebody, our office offers free legal service.
Madam, what is your own special contribution to this area?
Well, in my cutting teeth age in the profession, I was involved in criminal law practice, even on the lower bench as a magistrate. But as I started getting older, I created my own niche in corporate practice. 80% of my practice is private banking and international trade. But what I'm doing as my own contribution, because I found out when I went into corporate practice and started handling cases for banks, I found that a lot of our businessmen are not honest. When they are trying to borrow money, they romance the banks, they promise heaven and earth. When payday comes, they see the banks as an elephant meat. And I'm standing against that. Our banks must not go down.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Doctor.
Yes. Thank you. Next week, you'll be hearing from some special women on a very, very exciting subject. See you then.